Well, well, well. Who'd have thought that before kick-off? Hull City 3-0 winners here at Sheffield United. A third win on the road on the spin. A third clean sheet on the road on the spin. And the first win here in the red half of Sheffield since Boxing Day in 2010. And, well, what a performance. What a night for Hull City. As I say, I'm kind of speechless because it has been one of the great nights covering this wonderful football club. And it is only one result, but we have to revel in these kind of performances and these kind of wins because it has been a pretty tough season for everybody, hasn't it? But I think we'd all agree that tonight is probably the best night of the season. And pretty much from back to front, from start to finish, City were very, very good. And the fact they've come here to Sheffield United, a team that I think have lost once here all season, that have conceded very few goals, and they've had 2 shots on target in the entire game, and neither of those were anything great for Ivo Pandor back in net tonight to worry about. One of those, in fact, came at 3-0, I think was in stoppage time. So good was City defensively. It was just a wonderful performance from back to front. It would be really hard to pick out one person in particular that was man of the match, because I think everybody to a man put a real shift in. The goalkeeper didn't have a huge amount to do. A couple of nervy moments in the first half from a flurry of corners. But Ivo didn't have a huge amount to do. And as I say, that was because they defended so brilliantly, so resolutely in front of him. And when they got their moments, they took them. So let's start with the goals. Ironic, I think we should start with the fact that Hull City's first goal came from a Sheffield United corner. And you may laugh, because those who remember the game at the MKM Stadium back in September, both goals in that 2-0 win for Sheffield United came from City corners. Kind of ironic, and we like those little things. So, City actually started the game really, really well. They had plenty of ball early on, and then United kind of stepped it up. They got 3 corners in a row, one of which, Pandor, if you saw the Manchester United Rangers game in the Europa League last night, you'll know what I mean. Last night, there was the first United goal, Jack Butland punched it into his own net, and there was a moment tonight from a corner where Pandor went up, got it wrong, punched it, and it went over the box, landed on the roof of the net, and I was going, oh no, he's going to... For a split second I thought, here we go. And they went up the other end. Gauhart, who I thought worked like an absolute Trojan tonight, Joe Gauhart, he released Kamara. Kamara ran, tried to play the ball into the box, it got prodded back out of the penalty area, and Matt Crooks, in for his first start tonight, ran on and just guided it into the top corner from 20 odd yards out, past Michael Cooper, and that was after 6 minutes. And if there was any nerves in the City ranks, they were all gone, because suddenly they were a goal in front. It gave them something to hold on to. But in truth, there was, if I'm honest, I don't know if you guys agree what you were either here or watching, but there was a couple of moments early on where Blades players were just making silly errors, just trying to pass the ball for 10 yards to another player, and it was going out of play, and the crowd were getting narky. And I looked to Burnsy, who was doing commentary on for the club, and I sort of said, I don't think he could hear me because he'd got his earphones on, but I sort of said, I just wondered if this could be our night, because they were making silly errors, and you kind of just get a feeling in the ground, and you get I'm off at a tangent here, so I apologise, but I'm giddy because we've won 3-0 at Sheffield United. I think back to the QPR game last season, just before Christmas, and we were on a good run and we lost 2-0, and I remember thinking after 5 minutes, we're going to lose today, because there were passes going astray. Greavesy and Slater were making errors that they weren't normally making, and I kind of got a feeling for that game then. That was obviously last Christmas. A similar thing for Sheffield United here tonight. They were making perhaps uncharacteristic errors, and City took full advantage, and they got through to half time without any great drama. And in fact, I mean, they didn't create a huge amount, but there were 1 or 2 moments. Kamara got into a good position inside right, down on the box, instead of going out the penalty area, maybe trying to get a shot away, he turned back out, and the attack broke down. But they looked really comfortable, and they were bossing it. Alzati in midfield with Slater and Crooks, I thought were decent. Jones and Burns in the centre of the back four. There was one moment Burns made a really poor pass from the edge of his box, but they got away with it. I think only one time in the first half, Brereton Diaz got in down the left-hand side, and Burns got back to him, and he flopped on the floor. I think, in fairness to Ben, I know him, he's a good lad, and I think he just slipped and he lost his footing. Their fans wanted the penalty, obviously, didn't get it. But they were fairly comfortable going into half-time. I I didn't, you're kind of thinking they're going to come out second half and have a real go. And to be fair, they did. A lot of long throws from Jack Robinson, a lot of corners into the penalty area. They must have hit, I've not seen the stat, but they must have hit double figures for corners, at least. But City stood strong, and then he made a couple of changes. Matazzo came on in midfield, which was a good change. The new player from Monaco, Elliot Matazzo. They announced that at 6 o'clock, just before kick-off. He came on and he was tenacious. He was looking to get his foot in. He was aggressive. Matty Jacob came on for Burns, and then so McLaughlin went back into the middle of the back four, and Matty went left back. Cody Drame, I think he's got a little bit of stick, and rightly so, in the last couple of games, because he's in the absence of Louis Coyle. He hadn't been great, but I thought he was exceptional tonight. And he was marauding down the right-hand side, put the ball in for Matty Jacob, who Matty Jacob was up there, got a flick on in front of the away end, which is right behind me. And it was packed to the rafters tonight. And that Matty Jacob goal, it was 63 minutes, so just after the hour. And pretty much from the get-go of the second half to when Ruben made his changes, but United were on top, and City were giving the ball away, they were loose in possession. And you kind of felt that Blades were just getting a bit of a head of steam going up, and the second goal completely killed it. And I've got to say, the second goal goes in just after the hour, and it was so comfortable after that. The second goal completely killed the game. It knocked the stuffing out of the crowd. It knocked the stuffing out of Sheffield United. Wilder made changes. He couldn't get, Raksaki came off the bench and he blazed one over. There was another one that he got in down the right hand side, and McLaughlin made a brilliant block. I should point out, actually, Macca made a really important clearance, not quite off the line first half, but there was a corner flicked at the near post, the back post, and if Macca hadn't have been there, they probably score. So McLaughlin and Jones tonight were brilliant as a central, as a two, as they ended the game as a central two. But as I say, it's really harsh to pick out anybody in particular. And then obviously he brings on João Pedro, who just runs himself into the ground. Carl Joseph started. He didn't touch the ball a lot, but he pressed from the front. He worked tirelessly. He enabled City to get up the pitch. They could stick the ball in behind, and he'd chase and he'd harry. Just a really, really, energetic, hard-working debut from Carl Joseph. And there'll be games in the near future. He'll see a lot more of the ball. He'll be a lot more involved in the attacking play. But it wasn't that kind of game tonight. He needed to do a job for the team, to press from the front, to provide energy, and he did that. And obviously you got Pedro, who came off the bench, showed his experience. I mean, his goal was he won't get the goal, but it was all because of him. He bombed down the left hand side, got into the penalty area, pulled it across, looking for Kamara, who showed great energy to get to the goal line in the 88th minute. And it went in off Harrison Burrows, who could do nothing about it. It hit Burrows, went in the net. It would have gone in anyway, because I say Kamara was there. And that third goal just capped off what was a spectacular night. And I don't think even the most ardent critic of Hull City could find any way to criticise anything they've done tonight. Yeah, as I touched on just now, they were a bit loose in possession at the start of the second half, but they stood firm. They held their own. They headed. They defended their box. They headed. They kicked. They did what they needed to do. And then obviously when they got the moment at the other end, they took it. And that kind of clinical edge is what we saw it on Tuesday night, didn't we, against QPR? QPR didn't get into City's penalty box that often, but they did it twice in 6 minutes and scored 2 goals. City have done it, on more than they've actually had. I think 6 efforts on target tonight compared with United's 2. So they've actually tested the goalkeeper a lot more. Regan Slater had one as well. But it's just a fantastic performance to come here, having lost against QPR and got the criticism, and rightly so, because that's a game they should never have lost. I think we all accept that. Nobody outside of Hull City would have given them a chance of getting a result here tonight. And they have done. They've come here, a 3rd clean sheet in a row, a 3rd away win. They've thumped Sheffield United on their own patch. And I think they've moved up to 18th now. They've dumped Derby County into the bottom 3. They've gone above 2 or 3 other teams. I think they're only 2 points above the bottom 3, but it's helped their goal difference. Obviously, their goal difference is 3 better tonight. And just the confidence. Now, the key thing is, they've got a bit of... It's funny, isn't it, how quickly things change, because we've had a 3-game week. They've taken 6 points from 9, including 2 away games. And you go, actually, that's a good return, because they could have drawn all 3. And you go, well, they've not won, but they're unbeaten. They've drawn 3. It's positive steps, etc. They've only got 3 points. the fact is they've lost to QPR, so that is the frustrating thing. But to have gone to Millwall, suffer the frustration of Tuesday night, but then come here and won and it wasn't a backs to the wall job in the end. There were moments within the game, of course it was, they had to be firm, but they then earned that right to go and kind of enjoy the last half an hour of the game because they got the second goal. And as I say, they were fantastic in that last 30 minutes. They managed the game brilliantly. They won free kicks, they kept the ball. I'm so proud of that team tonight because, as I say, it's not an easy place to come. We know that their home record is so strong here. They're up there for a reason. They were in the Premier League last year. Yes, they've got injuries, but so have Hull City, so let's not drive that narrative. Yes, there was potentially a dodgy decision in the second half when they went through. I'll be honest, I've not seen the replay because I was watching the game as well as typing and doing the other things I have to do. I saw the flag go up and I heard the whistle and I stopped. And I didn't see I just heard the cheer. Obviously, the fans thought it was a goal, but the linesman's flag was straight up. It went up so early, so I want to see a replay. But I know the suggestion in the press room just then was that he was onside. But look, you make your own luck, don't you? You make your own luck, and they've had very little luck all season. And if they've got a slice of luck tonight, well, for me, they probably deserved it. So look, just a fantastic win. The key thing is now they've got an extra day because they've played Friday night. They've now got, an extra day leading into next week, and that is huge, isn't it? The Stoke game, they have to turn that around. When you look at the remaining 8 games at home, 4 of them are against teams in and around them. They've got, obviously, we know we go to Portsmouth on the final day. You don't want anything riding on that game for City apart from potentially pride. You don't want to be going there needing to win to stay up. You've got Plymouth to come at home. I think they're gone. They're going to go down. But you've got Plymouth to come at home. You've got Luton to come at home. You've got obviously Stoke next Saturday, and then you've got Derby County. They've won 2 games at home all season, which is, Cardiff. City have got the worst home record in the league. Cardiff are next worst with 5 wins. City have won 2. They simply have to turn that around. Away from home, we've seen them away from home even earlier in the season when they won at Stoke and QPR. We've now seen them win at Blackpool, Millwall, and now here tonight. Away from home, they're capable of getting results, and that they're going to need that again going to Burnley and Burnley and Sunderland in the next 2. But it is at home where they have got to find some form because otherwise they are going to. If they can start to win 2 or 3 at home, they will climb the table because they've got the quality, and as we're saying, they're going to pick results up away from home. But if they keep fluffing it up at home, then we're not going to get out of this situation. We're going to be treading water and it's going to be win 1, draw 1, win 1, lose 1, and you're not going to get that momentum and get away from the bottom of the table. They have to back it up now. There could be no excuses. They've shown on that performance. They showed against Leeds that this team has got the ability to play. They've scored 3 very good goals tonight as well, so that should give them confidence that they can score goals. So look, all in all, it's just an absolutely belting evening in the absolute shocking weather as well. Look, I mean, if you're in that away end, you've had a great night. You've got soaked, but you've had a great night. And I'm going to get absolutely drenched on the way back to the car, but hey-ho, I don't care. Let's quickly, because they're wanting to close up, let's quickly answer some questions. I really appreciate all your questions and your comments. Harry, will it help attract some signings? I think so. I think if you're Charlie Taylor watching that, and you might have misgivings or some concerns after the QPR game, you're watching that on the telly tonight, as most of the country would have been. Yeah, I think you'd be like, yeah, I'll have some of that. I'm going to sit on my backside at Southampton, or I can come and play in that Hull City team. But Matty Jacob might have something to say about that. Stephen, yeah, really proud of that performance. Yeah, I can't sort the home form yet. Completely agree, and that is what they've got to do. Christopher, yeah, can we do it at home now? Again, that is the acid question, isn't it? They've got Stoke at home next Saturday, and that is must win. It was must win before tonight, whatever happened, and it's still must win. But yeah, you've got to start winning at home. Who else have we got here? Harry, any developments on Sorba Thomas? Not at this stage. I mean, if we're brutally honest, it's been going on for most of January, and none want to keep it. None are really desperate to keep him. They'll probably be a bit annoyed with City, let's be honest, that they've signed Matazzo, because none wanted Matazzo. If I was a betting man, and I certainly aren't, because I'm not very good, I would probably say that Thomas is going to stay at Nottingham until the summer. They're digging their heels in. They don't want to, rightly so. They've signed him on the season-long loan. They don't want to let him go, and I get it. Put yourself in their position. He's been decent for them. They're not going to want to let him go, particularly if they can't get a replacement in. Which the longer it goes on into January, the bigger that challenge becomes. But I think nights like tonight and performances like that, particularly on Sky Sports as it was, a lot of people watching. I think there'll be one or two players that have got offers from City that will go, do you know what? I know they're at the bottom of the table, but I fancy playing for that manager, and I fancy trying to get in that team because that looks quite, it might be all right for the end of the season. I might get to enjoy to play some games and be in a team that can win some football matches because that's ultimately what they've got to do. What else we've got? Lee, I saw you mention you weren't here tonight, Lee, unfortunately for you, given you travel up and down the country everywhere. But yeah, great performance, and the fans were brilliant behind that goal all night, and it was great to have those 2 second-half goals right in front of them. There were some great scenes at the end, weren't there? Absolutely great scenes. Mark Crooks, I thought he faded badly as the game wore on, but again, Ruben made the change at the right time to get fresh legs in there when United were starting to dominate at the early in the second half. They were starting to really win that midfield battle, and Alzati was getting outnumbered. But I think it was 54 minutes off the top of my head when he made his 2 changes with Jacob and Elliott coming on. I think that reinvigorated City, and it kind of wrestled that initiative back and got them a foothold in the second half. They were able to get hold of the ball again and just get up the pitch, because for the first 9 minutes of that second half, they were pinned back. They couldn't get out. Every time they tried to get the ball, they gave it away, and they were just inviting pressure. Every time the ball went out, Robinson was lobbing throws in from 30, 40 yards. There was corner after corner, cross after cross. And who's to say what would have happened? But he made his changes at the right time in it, and it wrestled back that initiative, and it gave City a foothold. And obviously, as I said before, Matty Jacob's second goal, great ball from Dramall. Matty Jacob going beyond and getting his foot to it and scoring. That was the first goal was obviously crucial, of course it was, because it gave City something in the game. It gave City a platform, and it changed the way that United went about their business. And the first goal in the Championship, we know, is absolutely crucial. So often, I haven't got it, and I'd love somebody to crunch the numbers to find out this season, in any season, the amount of teams that score first and go on to win the game, because it's got to be 60-70%, if not higher. But the second goal was, because it came right after a spell of real intense pressure at the start of the second half. It just punched. It was like pinning a balloon. It completely popped the atmosphere. They got angry. United's players were just making mistakes all over the shop again, and the second goal killed it. So fantastic. Right. David, I agree all about the home games. Will, don't ask questions like that. You can have 2 loves, I always thought you couldn't have 2 loves in football, but I've decided you can. So there, and it's great to see Derby in the bottom 3 in it. Let's be honest. Plan B for the wide man, Richard. They've got one. Let's wait and see on that one. Although it's been reported for weeks, so it's not a great surprise. Harry. I mean, look, on Louis Barry. Let's be honest. Every team in the Championship wants him, pretty much, and it is up to Villa to decide what they do with him. Nights like tonight will probably help. Ruben Sayers will probably help. But if Louis Barry is going to be available, which we think he is, City are in there. They're one of the teams chasing. You never know. You just never know your luck in a raffle, do you? Right. Stephen, in terms of Lincoln not on the bench, purely down to the fact that he's not played much, he's not trained much. They didn't think it was worth the risk. Nothing sinister, nothing apart from the fact that they... obviously, he's not, as I say, he's not played. I don't think he's played a competitive game since November. He hasn't trained a lot since he's been here. So it is just a case of getting him up to speed. As you've seen, they've worked wonders with Matt Crooks and Joe Galhart, getting them, being careful with them and blooding them in at the right time and getting performances from them. Crooks was very good, scored a good goal. Galhart was exceptional. Didn't get a goal today, but he's that. There's a word for him, isn't there? And the second part of that word is house. You know what I mean? He never gives them a minute. He runs all the time. He presses. He tackles. He makes it uncomfortable. And he might not have got his goal tonight. Although he did try one from just inside in the first half. He did try and rocket one from just inside the United half, and he got clattered and it went up in the sky in there. But you have to applaud him for his vision and for trying. I think. That is probably all we've got time for, because they are closing up here and it is probably getting towards 11:30. and some of us have got homes to go to. So look, thank you for watching, everybody. If you've been here tonight, fantastic support. That was a great night to be a Hull City fan. Now the challenge is to back it up next Saturday against Stoke. We'll have the podcast with you on Monday. Plenty to come over the weekend from here, and obviously all the latest transfer news as well. With just over a week to go until the window closes. So we'll have the podcast with you on Monday. We'll be with Ruben and a player on Thursday to preview Stoke at home on Saturday, where we hope they sort that home form out once and for all. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon. Up the top.